Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
This incident occurred last week, during the third month of the lockdown in my country. After enduring a long and challenging day, the details of which will be revealed later, I decided to visit the market to gather supplies for the upcoming shift. I had a full-day shift that day. While in the store, I was on my phone talking to my superior, asking what they needed from the store. I entered the chips section, picked up about 4 packets of chips. I was walking away when I heard the infamous throat clearing that can only come from the guardian of hell herself, Karen. Thinking to myself, I can't be this unlucky today, I turned around to face a 5'2" woman who appeared to be around 45 years old, and a conversation ensued. I asked her, "Can I help you?" "Yes, where is the X item?" "I think it's 2 aisles over." "How could you not know? Why does this store even hire idiots like you?" "I'm sorry, but I have to ask, are you blind or just ignorant?" "How dare you call me blind?" She stormed off, and I thought that was the end of it. Oh, how wrong I was. She returned with a manager in tow, looking smug. Seeing me on my phone, she snatches it off my hands and throws it to the ground. The same phone I'm using to type this out, just with the screen replaced. The manager approached and quickly realized the gravity of the situation. I say to the manager, "See why I called her blind?" The manager, looking at me, his expression changing from confusion to barely contained amusement. "Ma'am, this man clearly doesn't work here." "Then why is he in a uniform?" I tell her, "Ma'am, take a good hard look at me from head to toe, then ask that question again." Karen's face turned from red to as pale as printing paper upon scrutinizing my uniform. A dark blue beret, button-up, and pants, and the piece de resistance. My belt, which held my sidearm holster, with my sidearm clearly inside, a taser, handcuff holster, and spare magazine holsters, along with my M4 rifle slung around my neck. I'm a narcotics officer who had just come off a tragic case and stopped by to get some snacks for my teammates. I say, "Seeing your action, which was priceless, if only I could release the body cam footage, I'm going to give you 2 options here. Reimburse me for my phone, or I will arrest you for harassment, theft of property, and damage to property." Realizing her mistake, Karen turned tail and ran. Of course, I had no choice but to chase and tackle her. She briefly broke free, grabbed a box of cereal, and attacked me with it. I tased her and cuffed her. Despite being handcuffed, she continued to resist, kicking and headbutting. Even when her ankles were cuffed, she attempted to escape like a cartoon caterpillar. Eventually, my partner arrived and used a boar cuff, a type of restraint that binds the suspect's arms and legs, akin to how natives capture a boar, to subdue her. It took both of us just to get her into the cruiser. Exhausted by the ordeal, I asked my partner to read her rights while I returned to the officer, completed my shopping, and left. She was a repeat offender, so this incident just added to her previous charges. She's booked for court tomorrow, and I'll post the results, but I'm confident she'll be found guilty on all charges. On a local Facebook group for my university, there is this obnoxious jerk who posts bad and insulting comments on every single post, even where they have no relevance to the topic being discussed. He's your typical socially unaware bully, very much obsessed with internet culture. He uses all the buzzwords that /Paul enjoys. He does all of this under his real Facebook account, under his real name. I have mutual acquaintances with him, and I'm told he's the same in person. About 6 months ago, I made a post in the group about a poster I saw on campus. He made a clearly racist comment and said he enjoyed ripping those posters down. I told him to get lost. His online buddies came and joined him. Another girl called him out, and they all began calling her inappropriate names and making jokes about how the page isn't a safe space and how he identifies as an attack helicopter. At this point, I was fuming and made a final comment calling him a jerk. As a result of this, he made sock puppet Facebook accounts and started messaging my family members. He sent a message to my girlfriend saying that I cheated on her. I didn't. He sent gore to my mother and said, "X, my name, told me to show you this." And this was a moment where I flipped. I will destroy this man-child. I bought the domain name that is his name. firstname-lastname.com, with whose privacy to obscure my identity. I took screenshots of all the abhorrent comments and content he had posted under his name. I went to his profile and saved pictures of him. Then I set up a WordPress site with all these screenshots alongside a small commentary, alongside using his full name many times. I waited 3 months before putting the website live. Now, a Google for his name brings up this site as a top result. 1 week ago, I got a rambling email begging for it to be taken down, an attempt at an apology. I didn't reply. 3 days ago, I got a message threatening legal action for defamation. Unfortunately for him, he has no grounds. All I've had done is consolidate his racism, sexism, crappiness into a single location for the world to see. I'll probably take the site down at some point. Not yet though. Accounting internship applications are coming up for him. It has been a very satisfying week. Some context. I work in a nursing home. Night shift on a men's dementia floor to be exact. I posted a few stories here before, but they are about family members rather than residents. So here's one about a resident. Some minor details changed and no identifying information was given to coincide with HIPAA. Normally, I wouldn't harbor ill will towards any resident since dementia makes them do bad things and it's not their fault. A perfectly sweet lady can become an abusive jerk once Alzheimer's kicks in. But this resident in particular didn't have dementia. He was 100% legally competent and totally with it, not even in his 30s yet. He was just stuck on my floor because he was physically incapable of taking care of himself due to a lack of strength in his arms and legs caused by some injury. As for why he was in my unit instead of in a hospital or taken care of at home, that's anyone's guess. But judging by his behavior, I assume it was because no one could stand to be around him for more than 5 minutes. We tend to get a lot of residents with behavioral issues. Just so we're clear, this guy wasn't our normal case of dear old grandpa who was shell-shocked and is now violent due to dementia. This guy was mentally sound and was just a jerk. Case in point, the guy who was frequently abusive, physically, verbally, and sometimes even sexually, was a staff. He also had a severe case of and one more thing, whenever anyone tried to help him, going as far as to frequently lie and make stuff up for people to do just for attention or to exert control or whatever. Naturally, dealing with difficult people is my job, but this guy had no excuse to be as difficult as he was. So I had absolutely no patience for the man, and neither did literally anybody staffed on that floor. When the people who very frequently deal with residents who made absurd demands and physically assault the staff are complaining that this guy, who again was completely with it, was too much to handle, you know it's bad. One particular night, after dealing with his crap for half an hour straight around 3 a.m., he didn't tend to fall asleep until 4. It was getting ridiculous. I was trying my darndest to do what I could do to help him because I had to, but my patience was wearing thin, so I was being a bit more terse than normal. At this point, he was insisting that he needed a new bed alarm because his didn't work. I told him several times that it was a silent bed alarm, so it rang the front desk but didn't beep loudly itself so as to not disturb his roommate. To prove his point, he very subtly conjured up all the strength his body somehow hid and flung himself off the bed as I stared in disbelief. Not able to react, the area he landed on was free of anything he might hurt himself on, and in fact, he had full mat on the sides of his bed to catch him anyway. He also had a very low bed in total. He fell about 6 inches onto a soft mat as I watched him, but this guy insisted he had hit his head despite no object even coming within a foot of his head on his descent. Normally, if a resident fell like that and someone watched it, we'd have to take vitals, including blood pressure. Anyway, just to make sure that they are right. But the resident could refuse the vitals. But he said he hit his head. Naturally, I called a nurse on duty. She's normally a sweet lady who'd feel guilty if she looked at a fly wrong, but also had the sense of humor of a wet blanket. When I told her what actually happened, that he threw himself onto the mat and was fine, he insisted that he had actually fallen out of bed and hit his head, and that he needed a new bed alarm so that wouldn't happen. Unfortunately for him, our policy is that if a resident says they hit their head, even if the fall was witnessed as a contrary, we have to treat it as though they hit their head. Also, our policy is that in such a fall, the resident gets vitals taken every 15 minutes for the next 4 hours. For added fun, the nurse also had to do neuro checks. Stuff like shining a flashlight in your eye and asking you to move your legs and arms to make sure you're not concussed. And the resident can't refuse these because a concussion is quite serious. I got to watch her gleefully explain all this to the man. He realized he wouldn't be getting a wink of sleep that night and tried to backpedal and admit that he hadn't actually hit his head. But sorry, gotta follow procedure. So from 3 to 7 a.m., the nurse, dutifully, went back there every 15 minutes for a quick round of blood pressure and the other fun stuff, while he kept whining about how he just wanted to go to sleep. Honestly, I'm not even sure if she had to do the neuro checks every time as well, but she wanted to be extra careful. So, she did them anyway. This is the current ongoing malicious compliance. My landlord is also my roommate. I rent a bonus room above a 2-car garage in a 3-bedroom house. So me, my boyfriend, my landlord, and 2 other roommates all live here. It technically belongs to my landlord's mother. She has POA while her mother is in a nursing home recovering from a stroke. She has this very strict rule that no one is to adjust the thermostat but her, which, since everyone's rent includes all utilities, is fair as long as she's reasonable about things. However, when the house was built, my room was not insulated as well as it should have been. As a result, it is the hottest room in the summer and the coldest in the winter. I need a space heater when it hits mid-30s or lower. Additionally, the way the central air and heat are set up is less than ideal. There is only one return vent for the entire floor, which is in the hall. Anyway, last night we got into an argument about various things. It should be noted that she doesn't have a job. Her entire income comes from renting the rooms as well as food stamps. She also lies to social service about her income just to get the food stamps. She spends her days sitting on her butt, talking on her phone or trolling Facebook while watching TV. She thinks because she's a landlord she shouldn't have to clean anything at all or take out the trash. She got mad that no one took the cans to the end of the driveway for the collection last week. I had finally had enough and snapped and told her she had no room to complain because in the 2 years I have lived here, she has never once taken it out. That led to other crap like her not cleaning and so on. She lives here full-time and she should take part in the cleaning and trash removal just as much as the rest of us. For the rest of this, you should remember I am not the only one affected by her punishment. There are other roommates. Anyway, she feels like she's right and I'm wrong. So to punish me, she turned the temperature up on the AC to 77, knowing my room would hit 90 before the AC turned on. Well, on a normal summer day, this would have been true. But it's been very cloudy and rainy here lately. It was only 78 outside today. He then proceeded to leave the entire day. However, because today it only hit 78 and was insanely humid, the entire house turned into a sauna. Not hot per se, but humid as all get out. So the rest of my roommates and I used our box fans and ceiling fans to circulate air out into the hall, where the thermostat was. This triggered it to turn on and run. So not only was the AC running, but all of our ceiling fans and about 5 box fans were running non-stop for hours on end. But it gets better. Because she set the thermostat at 77, the AC kept turning on and off, so the house never got cool. This meant it was using the electric all damn day, running up the bill. Plus, she came home and her room was like an oven, so she had to turn the thermostat down to cool it off, running the bill up even more. So now, she has run up her electric bill at the very least 3 times as much. Well deserved. This happened just yesterday afternoon. My wife convinced me to go to a tulip farm. Spend the time picking up tulips, paying for them, and having to stand/walk around for 3 hours for Instagram pictures is not fun. By the end of that event, we were tired and hungry. I wanted to eat somewhere fun and found a hibachi place. My kids were excited and my wife was happy with her haul. We ended up arriving at the hibachi place and headed to our seats. Great service by the staff, more on that later. I forgot to mention that I had a toddler and wanted a high seat for my daughter so she can see the griddle. The staff pointed to one of the wait staff and indicated I needed a high chair. I was 10 feet from the chair and the waitress was further away. I waved her off and grabbed the chair myself. As I returned to the table, another couple was being lit to the other side of our table. Each hibachi set sat 9 to 10 people, so I stopped to let them pass. After passing, a woman turned around and said something to me, but it was noisy, and I was concentrating on getting my daughter seated. As I struggled with the seat belt, I felt a tap on my shoulder, but I sat my daughter first. After seating my daughter, I turned around and the same lady was literally inches from my face, telling me a bunch of things. I giggled and told her sorry, I don't work here. Now, I don't know why she thought I did at all. Everyone who worked there was dressed in black and white. I was wearing a t-shirt, had mud on my shoes, and my hair was tossed around like I haven't slept in days. However, she insisted and kept raising her voice at me. Granted, it was noisy. I repeated, I don't work here. She then was heated, yelling, getting angry, saying that it was about her food allergies, and if she got sick she would sue me. At this point, I was tired and told her that I don't care about your allergies because I don't work here. She put her finger in my face and my wife noticed, got up, swatted her hand away, and stood between this lady and I. My wife clarifies that I don't work here, turned around and sits me down, and this lady keeps raising her voice that I was rude to her. At this point, her husband was red and grabbed to sit her down. This interaction lasted for less than a minute. The staff came by and calmed everyone down and made sure everyone was seated. They asked if I wanted to be moved and I said no. I was fine where I was. Then asked the lady if she wanted to be moved and she said no, but seemed pretty pissed off. The hibachi chef noticed all this as he rolled his cart in. He started his routine and my wife and kids loved it. I just sat there happy as a calm that everybody was having a great time while I would get to eat. At this point of the dinner, the hibachi chef started spraying my kids with water, which they loved. And for the adults, he would spray them with white wine from a bottle to loosen them up. When he gets to me, he gives me a really long dose and says, "You need a double. You work overtime today." I thought this was hilarious. As he went around giving all the adults a spray of wine, he gets to the lady and gives her the tiniest of spray and says, "Maybe not too much for you." She giggled but was obviously not entertained. As he does his routine, we had a good time and ate good food. My kids loved it, and to me that was the important part. Now after the routine, the chef started cleaning up. He tosses a clean rag and scraper near me. I was not missing a beat. I yelled, "Yes, boss." Got up and started scraping out the grill. The chef started barking at me even more. I moved faster and more frantically. Then a waitstaff brought a mop and buckets and I started mopping. Everyone was laughing, my kids were going crazy, and it was hilarious to me at the least. So to add to it, I spontaneously asked everyone to give a generous tip for the show even though it wasn't necessary, and they did. Except for you know who. I was finally urged back to my chair, was clapping from my family. The chef gave a handshake for being a good sport. I went on his way. We finished eating and got served dessert. And we then hear talking for the corner where the couple is now arguing because she was mad at me and her husband allowed it all to happen. I really felt bad at this point and just wanted everyone to leave on a good note. I apologized about the interaction earlier because it was easy for me, had no stake in their argument, and it didn't seem to help. We finished eating and packed up our stuff to leave. As we were leaving, this lady was at the lobby complaining to the manager about everything. My wife stopped and chimed in. Apparently the manager already knew, made it clear to the lady to calm down, and in the most racist Asian accent said, "Oh, so sorry, no refund. Now you go home." The lady was getting pulled by her husband to the parking lot at this point. "Sorry, dude." Then that manager turns to us in the most New Jersey accent. I can't believe that accent worked. I hope you guys had a great time. He proceeded to talk to my wife and kids while his staff helped me get our stuff into the car. He walked us out and gave my kids some takeaway snacks. Loved it. Overall, it was a fun day.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.